What's good, guys? It's Ilson 4K, and today we're continuing onward with Halloween 3 Into the Unknown with another unknown horror gem that you definitely need to check out. But for those of you asking, what the hell is Halloween? Halloween is a month-long celebration of horror movies that take place on or around Halloween that we do here on my channel for the third year in a row now. Yes, the third year, and this year we're looking at lesser-known films in the genre versus the one everybody seems to know, such as your Terrifiers or your Halloweens or your Trick-or-Treats, and I definitely got an unknown gem here that you need to check out. From 1988, a film called Hack-O-Lantern. Yes, Hack-O-Lantern. It's as cheesy as the title makes it sound, and the movie is really awesome. It's completely everything you want from a 1980s film. It's got the satanic panic, it's got the big hair, it's got the gratuitous nudity, it's got the gore, it's got the teenagers throwing the haunted Halloween party, it's got everything that you're looking for if you're looking for this 1980s cheese film. Again, definitely stick around if this sounds like it's up your alley. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to stick around all month long for more Halloween 3 Into the Unknown movie reviews. So this film's plot, while unique, is very easy to follow. We start out with a young boy, Tommy, being given a jack-o'-lantern by an old man. Tommy proceeds to tell his mom that he got the jack-o'-lantern from his grandfather, and that proceeds to upset the mother, because the mother does not like the grandfather, as we'll find out later on in the film. Why doesn't she like him right now, though? It's because more or less the grandfather runs a satanic cult and ultimately wants to take this child and groom him to become the next in line to be the leader of the cult.
You come around him again, I'm gonna bust you wide open. Happy.
Fast forward to the age of 18, Tommy is actually completely into the idea of this and completely enamored with his grandfather and following every last thing that he seems to be asking him, despite the concern of his mother and his friends, to the point where the friends actually ask him what's bothering him, and they find the satanic cult altar that he has and become more worried for him. Eventually gets to a point where an individual in a Satan mask is running around and killing people, and it's actually really interesting when you find out who that person is, because they do a good job of making it seem like it's who you think it is, but it's really not, and not many people actually get it right. Definitely one to watch just to see if anybody can actually guess it. But along the way, these murders are getting out of control, and eventually gets to the point where it's the night where Tommy needs to become a satanic cult leader, and he makes the ultimate decision to either be a part of this or not be a part of this. And what's really awesome is the kills in this are really cool along the way, so you definitely need to check it out for that. But again, this plot is all about, again, the idea of Satanism and people coming back to lead their own cult and family-oriented Satan-worshipping stuff. It's super cheesy, but it's super awesome.
Don't you know anything? Satan does not have to pay. I'm his helper, and I say, for this you shall die.
Yeah, well, that's great, but I'm not playing any games.
This film right here emphasizes the whole concept of the 1980s vibe, so bad it's good. I mean, this is really the definition of that kind of film. So bad it's good, 80s cheese fest that you absolutely need to see. I mean, the movie starts out right off the gate, balls to the wall nuts, with the whole grandpa trying to coerce his grandson to be in a cult, which is like the second film I think I've seen so far in this list, where someone is trying to coerce a young child to do something. Really odd reoccurring theme, actually. But moving onward from there, we have the whole concept of the fact that this is a film that emphasizes what made movies work back in the 1980s perfectly, and I mean absolutely to a T. You have the satanic panic, you have these young hot actors and actresses that are just overflowing with hormones from one another. You have everything about a successful horror film in the 1980s that, when pulled off with just enough subpar acting, which this film actually has a lot of good acting in it, I'm not gonna lie, there isn't too much subpar acting, but when it's got that over dramatized, really too serious for its own good vibe, this is what it's all about right here. This was the whole vibe at one point. And another thing that's really impressive about this film is that it's actually got a pretty cohesive storyline. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually very straightforward and easy to follow. Even the part where it lapses from Billy being a young boy to him being a teenager was pretty straightforward and easy to follow. Nothing about it felt rushed. we're watching the whole idea of Billy being this impressionable young mind that was poisoned by his grandfather and joins a satanic cult for the wrong reasons. In the end, we get a pretty cool twist ending out of Billy, which I thought was really nice because, again, this film is actually kind of all over the place, and it's so all over the place that even though, well, it seems predictable, it still has its moments of, oh wow, I didn't see that, that was actually pretty clever, and I have to applaud them for that. And of course, we can't talk about this film without talking about the main villain, the grandfather. Wow. Talk about a guy who really understood what he needed to do in his role. I mean, he absolutely stood and delivered and is just so essential to this film's 80s Cheesefest vibe. I mean, his acting is so over the top, he's so grotesque, his accent is terrible. He is just so unreal that when you actually finally see him in that whole satanic panic outfit, you wonder how anyone could follow him for directions, let alone as a cult, because he just looks so goofy. But again, he just pulls it off miraculously. I mean, his performance is so over the top and really sticks out amongst all the mediocre acting in this film because he's just his own entity in every way, shape, and form. The rest of the acting in this film is actually pretty good for a 1980s film. It has its ups, it has its downs. Everybody plays their role, though, and really fits into that whole 80s vibe style. And like I said, in other videos, I almost wonder if there's like a running joke on like the 80s where everyone's like, all right, be serious, but not too serious, you know, just enough that people can eat it up because it's just too miraculous how all of this is so aligned. Fun fact about this movie, despite the fact it's relatively obscure, it was actually once featured on a 2012 episode of The People's Court with Massacre Video that actually released this film on Blu-ray, went up against the person who actually uploaded it to the YouTube channel, and while I imagine they couldn't have made a lot of money off the YouTube channel, copyright laws are copyright laws, and things like that are why YouTube is so vigorous about its cease and desist affairs today. That being said, movies like this hold a special place in my heart because you gotta remember, I was born in the mid-1980s, so films like this really bring back a nostalgia factor. Like, I remember the looks, I remember the vibes, I remember the atmosphere. It was just something else back then, and this is what makes deep diving into these films so much fun. It's going back and seeing what used to be there and how these films used to really operate. They used to be those films that took a lot of pride in having fun with themselves, but still acting serious enough that the whole so bad it's good thing comes in, and they just sprinkle in that 80s cheese that makes it a relic of its time perfectly. Films like this just put a really big smile on my face, to be quite honest with you. Now, as we all know, horror was at a very bold and brave time during the 1980s. You had a lot of cool archetypes coming out that were really starting to resonate with audiences. You had your strong and menacing types such as your Jason Voorhees, who was really more of a continuation of the Michael Myers affair from the 1970s. Then you had your types like Freddy Krueger, who had really imaginative kills, but were also like half stand-up comedian that was actually pretty funny. And then you had types like Pinhead that was absolutely the scariest of the bunch to me, because the whole execution of touching a box and something from hell coming to get you is absolutely mortifying. And then you had films like this that absolutely had the most fun with the affair that they could at the time and made it their own affair while still being very familiar to audiences. I mean, things like this really embody what it's all about to me, diving and digging around and seeing what's out there for the horror movie spectrum that I haven't seen yet, and this one didn't come up empty-handed. Sure, it can be a little campy at times, sure, it can be a little cheesy, but that's what it's all about, and it's something that you definitely need to see to appreciate, if only once. Maybe it's not a film you watch every year on Halloween, but it's a film you need to watch at least once, and if you have watched it, make sure you comment down below and leave me your opinion on it, because I want to know. And make sure you show it to someone else this year, so that way you can get their opinion on it, because it never hurts to spread the cheesy horror love. And that's really my opinion and synopsis on this whole film. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you stick around all month long for more Halloween 3 Into the Unknown horror movie reviews for horror movies that nobody's ever seen before. And don't forget, every Thursday night, 9 p.m., twitch.tv/ILTV4K, you can catch me streaming for the Total Terror Thon Thursdays, and every Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Spooktactular Saturday night stream. We're doing horror gaming all month long for the month of October, and I can't wait to see you there. So make sure you stick around, like and subscribe, and don't forget, you're watching ILTV, where if it's pop culture, you know it pops up here. Happy Halloween on behalf of ILTV, where if it's pop culture, you know it pops up here.